deadline.
A very good morning to you and welcome to Global Morning on Global Television. My name is Godwin Sunday and thank God it's Friday. Of course, I'm not doing this alone. I'm doing this with my colleague, Jumai Manson.
Good morning. How are you doing, Godwin?
Good morning. It's so great to see you again this morning. You're looking sharp and bright.
Always. You have to. It's part of the job. It's part of the goal, you know. And to all our viewers out there, good morning to each and every one of you. It's a beautiful TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. And it's great to be here. And yes, if you're wondering, this is the Tag Team Friday. And I am Jumai Manson, just like how Godwin is introduced. And it's great to be here. So many things have been happening in the course of the week. And we'll be delving into them one by one, right, Godwin?
Yes. So, well, of course, we'll delve into them. Probably we'll just start with the wiki story.
Exactly.
And we'll move down to the Kogi Central, which is your primary constituency.
Really, you've started again. But no problem. I'm just, I'm just for the good of the society at large. I'm just for the good of the people. That is all. I'm just very positive about how everything is going to run and play out. Hopefully, everything is going to be fine by the grace of God. Everything will be nipped in the bud. I'll never stop saying that. And let's just see how well this whole thing goes, right?
Yeah. Of course, it's a good time for you to go out there and also get your friends awake because the conversation is about to start. But Jumai, let's even look at this Wike story. Of course, Wike has been on the media light of late, coming out to say, "Hey, I'm not dead, and I'm not sick. I didn't collapse.
I wasn't drunk.
I wasn't drunk."
Really?
Because we had that news on Monday that when he went to see the president, after seeing the president, he collapsed. But then between the space of Monday to Thursday, we didn't hear anything from the camp of Wike. And all of a sudden, the conversation resurfaced. What Wike is saying, could it have been that he has gone for some form of medical checkup? Or this story, there's no smoke without fire, of course. How did that news manage to get to the media space?
And let's not forget that for every rumor, there's an atom of truth in it. So hopefully, he's just trying to hold strength and to tell us that. But he came out and he said it. It was a public announcement, and he came out and he said, "Hey, listen, I didn't slum. I wasn't drunk. Nothing of that sort happened." So we just have to believe what we hear. We've seen him, aren't we? So.
Most definitely, but the sad part is that when people come out to say Wike is dead, I think that's not fair.
No, I don't think it's fair.
I don't think it's fair on Nigerians on that. Of course, he has promised to. You know, Wike, he has promised to ensure
really?
that.
I know him?
Okay, let's use the word
tentatively. Look at him on the screen. We all know him.
We tentatively know Wike, and you know that Wike is one man that is committed to. Keeping to his words when he said, "I'm going to do this."
I'm going to demolish a place.
He has come out to say,
above the law.
If you build on green areas, that building will go down.
Exactly.
But then he has come out to say that the critics will, people that declared him dead, of course, they will be prosecuted. They will ensure that investigations will be carried out and all of those people will be dealt with in accordance with the law. So we hope to see this play out in the days ahead where Wike will begin to. But then, even looking at some of the conversations that have also come out from the social media in Wike's regard, one will begin to ask salient questions even at this point in time, where one of the questions that is begging for answer, really, it's the one that centers around the fact that Wike, being Mr. Workaholic that he is,
yes.
When he resurfaced on the field.
Yeah, exactly.
So how can we marry these both together, that a man that they said he collapsed, that was not feeling, that was rushed out, and he resurfaced on the field? I report I wanted to say Wike is a magician.
You wanted to say that.
Yeah.
But we can't take it away that there are a lot of controversies surrounding the FCT minister and other person than Nyesom Wike. A lot of controversies of the way, of course, we know the Fubara issue and that he has a hand when it comes to the impeachment of Fubara. We cannot talk less about issues like that when it comes to individuals against his kind of rule. People will say that it's harsh, it's brash, it's not. He should focus on his own. You know, he should focus on Abuja and all of that. But you cannot take it away that he is a workaholic and he's doing very well when it comes to Abuja. Like for the instance of this one chance, we should give it to Wike. Really, he came all out because it was becoming something else in Abuja here. When you go out, you be scared to, go into a cab or something without these miscreants. Oh yeah, okay. At the same time, we should give it to him that, of course, he gets the job done. He is for the people. If he says he's going to do something, but no one is perfect. People will say we all have our ups and downs. We cannot be perfect 100%. Some will like you, some will hate you, and it doesn't matter. You cannot please everybody. So I think we should just let things be and let everything just take its course, as far as I'm concerned, in that area. Yes, he's a workaholic. I completely agree with you. Yes, he has brought changes to Abuja. I completely agree with you. Yes, he has touched lives. I completely agree with you. Yes, he has done so much when it comes to insecurity in Abuja. Yes, I completely agree with you. So you cannot take that. You just cannot hate him. You just have to love him in that aspect when it comes to, the human angle part of Governor Nyesom Wike. He's all out there.
Of course.
He's all out there.
Coming back from Lagos yesterday, I had to pass through this other road. So when we got to the airport, we decided to go through to Kuje to pick something from Kuje. For the first time, I saw projects going on in Kuje.
Exactly.
And I was amazed. Like
the bridge and all of it.
All of the constructions going on in Kuje. I was like, okay, this is quite interesting.
Very.
When you get to Karishi, it's almost the same thing that Wike is doing. I begin to ask, how is he doing all of this together? How is he putting all of this together? When Wike, we need to give that kudos to Wike. Of course, he has done beyond what expectations.
Aside all of these controversies.
Aside all of
that, like I said, you can't have it all. You
Yeah.
can't have it all. You win some, you lose some, and people, like I said, you cannot please everybody, especially when you're a politician and you're in the limelight and everyone is watching. You cannot everyone will not be happy with you, but some will. So the thing is, your conscience, is your conscience all right? Do you feel okay with what you're doing? Are you fine? It doesn't prick you in any sort of way, and people around you, individuals, are you touching lives, making an impact? If you are, please, you're good and you're fine.
Speaking of pleasing everybody, let's go back to Kogi State, where Senator Natasha recall failed. People say it failed woefully. And I said when I get to the studio, I'll talk to Juma and congratulate her on the stand of her constituency that have been able.
I was trying to avoid this. I almost did on the show for Global, but I knew you were going to, of course, the recall failed.
It failed woefully. And we saw when INEC came out to give the criteria, said it didn't meet certain constitutional requirements.
Yes,
and that was quite interesting. On one hand, when INEC came out last week to say they've served and various parties the recall notice, I felt for one that the recall will go through. Looking at the circumstances surrounding all of this, Natasha came out to speak during the homecoming in Okene.
Okene, yes.
She came out to speak, and of course, when you do a vox pop around that area, you find natural love from our people.
Of course.
It's just natural, it flows. Like people just come out and they say, hey, we never recorded that. Let her go. Even still out of 27, we want her to still be there.
Because she's making impact.
Yeah.
That's the truth. You see, it for me, the call has nothing to do with all of it. For me, it's not, it must have failed woefully in everyone's eyes. But for us, as people from Okene, for us, for a woman to actually come out and air her view, to stand, not minding what is going to happen, like really, okay, whatever it is, whatever it will take, at least I have pursued it to a certain level. It shows courage. It shows someone who is bold, who is fierce. And aside all of this, like I do not agree 100% with all of these things that are playing out, but it shows that Natasha is only trying to tell us that women also have a voice. And it's not everything that we should sweep under the rug. And it's not every time the men should intimidate women, especially when it has to do with issues like of course, the allegation of sexual harassment is yet to be proven with beyond reasonable doubt. We're still waiting to see all the investigations and everything surrounding it. But at the same time, you will give it to Natasha. She doesn't have a clean slate, her personal life, but I feel people are just dragging her personal life. It has nothing to do with this. They are two separate things. So when people say, okay, she has been married before, she has kids, it doesn't have to do with the fact that she says she was sexually harassed. Let's put all of those sentiments aside. Well, at the same time, we're all Nigerians, so this is how it's going to play out. But for the fact that she came out, not minding that what she actually, if I could use the word, she said, decided to damn all consequences, to come out boldly, fierce, without any fear of favor, to say, hey, this man abused me. I was sexually harassed by this, Senate president. It shows that she has guts. And I think we should learn from that. Women should learn from that. And men also should learn that there's some women that you cannot silence so easily. And I don't think she would. This is just the beginning. It hasn't ended, I think.
I know the interesting part where she came out yesterday in one of the news media platforms to say that I am hearing that the Senate president wants to sue me for saying that he sent. She alleged that the Senate president, Godswill Akpabio, contracted the former governor of Kogi State, Yahya Bello, to commence a recall and assassination. Now that's quite weighty. And yesterday she has come out to say she's daring the Senate president to sue her if the allegations is not correct. Now that's a very weighty statement to make, and she's daring the Nigerian senator and Senate president to let's see if what I'm saying is not correct. And some people from different quarters are saying, of course, she has a fact because of the fact that largely due to the fact that her mom is a Ukrainian and also a Russian, and blood mixed together. They add that to the blood.
Will you stop it?
You mix that with the blood. Of course, whatever foul she chooses to get, of course, she'll get all of
But
this.
you can't take it away that she's a very beautiful woman.
Yeah, she is.
You see, that's the thing. Beauty and brains. That is it. Well, Kogites, you cannot blame us. We can't hide it. It is what it is.
But then, I was thinking on one hand that at this point, Natasha should be piping down or lowering the tempo of the music so that we can all be on the same page and focus on governance. Of course, since the president has left the country for France, we can have a better, robust conversation around the country. We can look into Lagos State, where, of course, there's a lot of gridlocks in Lagos State, and how the Minister of Works is performing in that regard. Look into the Ministry of Health, look into the Ministry of Education, and look at all of those ministries and how they are able to discharge their primary mandate, which is to ensure that Nigerians get the dividends of democracy. But all of these clouds right now is kind of distracting a lot of us. It's distracting. I don't want to call it a drama like I did on Wednesday. It keeps unfolding
every single day,
and it's really sad.
No, it is, because we're being distracted from what, like you mentioned, the main focus when it comes to. We have so many issues. When it comes to, I keep saying it because this is what it is. We have unemployment to deal with. We have inflation to deal with. We have transportation to deal with. We're not done with who's going to compensate the families that were burnt alive in that
Uromi. Okay, the Nyanya and the
Uromi places. Who is responsible? Who's going to compensate these families? Because there were breadwinners that died prematurely. There were fathers, mothers, children, a lot of things. Who's talking about who's going to compensate these families? No one is talking about that. Who's going to talk about ways in which we can curb accidents like that when it comes to tanker explosion? No one is talking about it. Who's talking about our roads when it comes to that axis? Of course, you know that axis, Karu, Nyanya, Maraba, the roads are bad. Who's talking about it? No one is talking about that. Who's going to talk about the drivers? Who's going to talk about the tanker itself? Some are dilapidated, the tires are bad, the brakes are bad, and yet these tanker drivers insist on driving because they feel that they can maneuver. Who's talking about that? No one is talking about it. We're all talking about things that are of unimportance. People that have eaten in Pigeon Palace, anywhere belly face. They have eaten, they have enough money. So who is talking? Nobody. Look, they're just, this drama is going to continue to unfold to distract us from the main focus. People are finding it hard to eat 3 square meals a day. Some people cannot afford the electricity that is ongoing now, so they prefer to just stay in the dark with their kids. when it's bright, they do all they need to do. But of course, who are high and mighty, they do not bother about things like this. And that is why I always say, when you are in a particular position, let your conscience be your guide. Let God be your guide first, and let him be your conscience and your guide. Because a lot of people whom you represent, who entrusted you so much to put you on that seat, to be their voice, you're not giving back. And when you're not giving back, it's a fail completely. Because no one will speak good about you. And nobody wants, and there's always second term. Although Nigerians, we're very gullible people. Once you give us rice and oil, and that's maybe 1,000 naira, he's good. He has done so well.
Well, speaking of Carroll Road, there's this funny conversation we had yesterday. Someone said that the Carroll Road accident on that axis has become a recurring phenomenon and a common decimal factor.
Yes.
Right now, that every week you must have accident cases on that road of Carroll. Another person now switched the argument and say that perhaps it's due to spiritual attack that they have, so they should go and bring in pastors, alphas, and just on a lighter note, they should bring in alphas, pastors, and other traditional.
No, I think the roads are bad for me. I think the roads are bad, and of course, these people don't actually. It was the brakes. People don't check these things, which are very important.
And the roads bad, or Abuja roads are too free. Because coming in yesterday, we had to start begging, guy, just slow down a bit. Slow down. The roads are too, I think the roads are too free.
What do you mean the roads are too? Where you see good
roads?
I don't understand. What do you like? What do you want?
Good. Like the roads are too
What do you want?
You put bombs at every 5 minutes drive. So that Abuja drivers can learn to slow down a bit. So Abuja drivers drive like James Bond.
Most of these drivers.
Yes, so you see the way they fly, and of course, I don't want to talk personal on this, but it's quite interesting. Well, we'll go for a short break, and when we come back, we will be going straight to the newspaper review. Please stay with us.
That global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world.
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to global television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews and latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning. You are welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, it's Global Morning on Global Television. At about this point, it is the newspaper review segment, and our first dailies that we'll be delving into is the Daily Trust. And below the nameplate of the Daily Trust, it says Tinubu's political advisor Hakeem Baba Ahmed resigns. And on the paper there, it says here, of course, there's some. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is on the paper, Engineer Bashir Bayo Ojulari, and of course Engineer Amadou Kida Musa of NMPC. And basically that is the star story on the Daily Trust. And then the next paper is...
Next paper is the Punch newspaper. Of course, like you always say, let's get punchy.
Let's get punchy.
All right, so above the nameplate here, we have a story. Afenifere rejects National Assembly bill on indigenship by marriage. All right, you can find that read on page 42 of the Punch newspaper. On the foreign side of the paper, we have opposition slams Tinubu Shetima for wasteful spending. That's for foreign trips, I beg your pardon, foreign trips. You have page 42, you can find that read on page 42. Hyenas nearly killed me in kidnapper's den. Ex-NYSC DG. You can find that read on page 41. Now, just beside just here we have bashed recall. PDP Natasha alert INEC as petitioners mobilize constituents. Okay, so you can find all of those read even on Natasha's story, which we've just finished talking about. You can find that read on page 2. All right, we have a story, the star story yet says Trump's tariff threatens $10 billion US Nigerian trade, and it comes with 2 riders. 25-year duty-free AGOA partnership danger. Nigerian American Commerce Chambers worries. Nigerian crude revenue may plug as US begins enforcement when NACCIMA raises concern. Now you can find all of those read on page 2 of the Punch newspaper this morning. All right, so you can also find a picture story here where it has the annual general meeting. Of course, which annual general meeting, of course, you can delve into. Go out there and get yourself a copy of the paper to know which annual general meeting is there. Now, at the foot of the story, okay, just here we have maximum tears. Lagos commuters groans as independent bridge closure bites hard. Oyo tightens security ahead of Alaafin Saturday's coronation. Senate review tax reform bills after Easter. Now, all of those read you can find on page. You can find this read on the Alaafin story, which is a very interesting coronation for the Yoruba nation. You can find that read on page 13, and also you can find the Senate to review tax reforms bills on page 42. Then the next paper here is Jumai.
The next paper is not Jumai. The next paper is the Guardian. The next paper is the Guardian. On a lighter note,
yeah.
Of course, the Guardian newspaper now. Below the nameplate of the Guardian newspaper, we're going to start with the Chief of Defence Staff, and it says DHQ dismisses Nigeria's MNJTF withdrawal, vows to eliminate Tarji. And that you can find on page 3. And then next you see Afenifere cautions over indigent status bill, cities, ethnic tension, violence. And you can find that read also on page 3. Rivers Sole Administrator considers new 2025 budget, and that read also on page 3. Now the star story states how vandalism, scavenging ruined critical assets, damage economy. And of course the story, you can find the big stories on page 4 and 5 of the Guardian newspaper. And at the side of all of the big stories there, it says, will Lagos ever fame excuses of its Agbero? And then, of course, you can find that read on page 12. Very interesting there. And then below that it says, Bode George decries state of nation handling of Natasha Rivers crisis. You can find that on page 7. Below all of that, petitioners adamant on Natasha's recall as INEC halts process. And that read you will find on page 6. U.S. reciprocal tariff cause stir as WTO warns of trade contraction. And that's a picture of President Donald Trump, the U.S. President there. You can find that read on page 6. And J.P. Morgan, bullish on Nigeria, predicts 1,450 naira per dollar by end of 2025. And that's a business story there. You can find that business news on page 18 of the Guardian newspaper. Now, one of the stories that caught my eyes, and
hope is that Lagos Agberu.
Is it Lagos Agberu? Really, but that has been a number.
Because the way you said interesting, I just knew that.
Will Lagos ever tame excuses of its Agberu? Like, that is the home where you find all of these individuals. And you wonder what an Agberu is. All of these boys around who take unnecessary illegal tax from individuals, whether you bosses, whether you are a market woman that wants all these people to carry your the things you buy in the market. They will definitely tax those boys. They do. Haven't you seen them in Lagos? When I was in Lagos, and then you tell him, Madam, for him to take your goods, you have to give us 200 naira. He has to pay us out of the money you pay him, 200 naira. And then you need all of these taxes. I think, will it ever be tamed? That is their home. That's the headquarters. Will it ever be tamed? Really, I doubt very much. I think it's a long run.
Juba, you the one you even saw, the one you're calling Agberu now is a legitimate means of hustling.
Really?
Yeah, that's a legitimate.
Really.
When you get to Oshodi in Lagos,
I'm telling you, that's the headquarters.
When you get to Oshodi in Lagos, and this is really worrisome, the governor needs to really look into this.
Really?
It's embarrassing. When you get to Oshodi, you see those boys literally charge you for walking on the road.
No, that's
Juma, this is not.
I stayed in Lagos.
No, Juma, this is not a USA.
Really?
When you get to Lagos, from Oshodi Bridge till you get to the arena. I don't know if you've been to the arena.
Are you kidding me?
When you get from Oshodi to arena,
there's an Ofada rice lady very close.
Quite a lot of Ofada women around that area right now. But when you get from that Oshodi under the bridge to the arena, you literally pay for walking on that road. You get quite a number of stops by different young boys. First, they'll start hailing you. Those of us that are fair, you start hearing things like yellow.
Oh, yes, it's true.
They start Agra yellow. They now put their two hands up and they are greeting you. And of course, all of this greeting is not in vain. It's for you to do a compliment, to reciprocate.
Exactly.
In Lagos, you now see people that they have different people tax. I don't want to call them tax force. Now you see, they have this system where people that call passengers into your buses.
Yes.
They have two. They have the official one and the unofficial one. The unofficial one stands beside the driver. The official one stands beside the driver.
Very true.
So when you now start hearing, so I said, I'm the one shadowing, but you're going to give him his money first. And all of this conversation, when you sit down in Lagos, you wonder what's going on here. And that's not even the fact. The fact again, the substance of the matter is that a lot of them will now put on canvas. They can chase a bus from here. They can chase a bus from here till you get to. Now this is just Oshodi. We've not spoken about my two.
What we talked about is Solo.
Solo is very far. Just even get to Origi, Agege, Oba.
Oh my.
Bega has improved a bit.
I think the headquarters for me should be Oshodi. That's where they are.
I think that's where MC Oluomo is. I'm not sure.
That's where they
are.
That's where they are. Like Oshodi is the main point.
I don't think we can tame this.
I do not think so.
Lagos State can.
It's going to take a lot of intervention because most of these individuals, it's not just what they do. When it comes to, they have a lot. Some of them are thieves. Some of them, you know that they. What almost stole my that's a story for another day. And then some of these individuals are they indulge in drugs and substance. In fact, all of them, when it comes to cannabis and all of that, which we know, it's not a hidden thing. They don't hide it, as in there's that circle where they, but it's going to take a really very, very strong intervention, really.
The sad part about it is that sometimes when you're being robbed, you're just robbed opposite where the police van is parked. And you walk up to the police office, you want to know what's going on.
Very good.
What do they do here?
That's right.
So I went there, Jumai.
It's where you are.
Don't laugh at me.
No, it's fine.
When they came out, when those boys came out, it was not funny.
No, it's not.
That was the first time I was robbed on that access. The second one was close to Agege police station on that railway track. When you pass that railway track and you're not careful, you lose. This is not just in Lagos. It's the same thing in the Federal Capital Territory.
Very
and true. I don't want to believe that this is the same. Is a uniform practice across Nigeria. How safe are the railway track? This is another conversation that we should begin to talk about.
We will talk about
the railway tracks in
Nigeria. At the same time, well, like I said, it's going to take a huge intervention when it comes to taming the excuses of Agbero in the Lagos State. Now, talking about another story, Bode George, the Christ State of Nation handling of Natasha Rivers crisis. What's your take on that, basically?
Well, basically, for me, I think that in Natasha's case right now and that of Rivers State is being overflogged.
Yes,
it's been overflogged. But I think the new development on that story, or even on Rivers State, is the new budget by the
administrator.
The 2025 budget.
Let's just see how this is playing out.
That PDP will put their mouth where at least we talk about this, and let's see practical demonstration of what the elder statesmen of PDP are going to do. Not just talking about all of this.
Exactly. All right, the next paper is the Vanguard, and of course Godwin will be taking us through it.
All right, so just above the nameplate of the Vanguard newspaper, we have here we have a story here that says Tribunal victory, Benin stands still for Okpebolo as Oba praise. Uromi killings, political leadership of Edo Kano have settled issue, DHQ. Day 2 of Independence Bridge closure, chaos as Lagosians groan, blame government. With a rider, I wasn't aware of closure, Umai. It comes with the Star Story head says, why bid to recall Akboti Udwaha failed by INEC? And it comes with quite a lot of riders. You can go out there and get yourself a copy of the Vanguard newspaper. Senate will consider tax reform bills after resumption. Rivers Sole Administrator cancels pending procurement tender processes. In sport, FIFA rankings, Super Eagles up 1 spot out of African's top 5. You can go out there and get yourself a copy of the Vanguard newspaper to at least keep yourself informed with happenings around the country. But what caught my attention here, Jumai, is the fact that the chaos, Lagosians are groaning, and the minister is saying that he's not aware that the federal road is being closed, that this action was taken by the state and also the Ministry of Works in the state, director of the Ministry of Works in the state. But then we begin to ask, there's a exclusive legislative list, there is a concurrent list, and there is a residual list.
Sure.
Under the exclusive legislative list, looking at the roads, we have the federal roads, we have the state roads, and we have the feeder roads under these divisions. When the state governor or state government is going to start patching up or carrying out repair functions on major roads, I thought it would be more of a collaborative effort between the federal government and the state government. But when the minister is saying, I'm not aware, and this is causing a lot of interesting conversation.
Yes, it is.
What's the harmony between the intergovernmental relationship
Exactly.
in Nigeria? Because they don't seem to sync.
At all.
What would have been the statutory provision before now if it were to be a PDP government? Or should we say that because it's an APC government and it's going to be, say, okay, we're going to do it, then it's our Baba that's in the office. Then we start the process, then we can inform Baba and ignore the procedures and the processes that is required for such bridges to be repaired. I recall when Goodluck Jonathan wanted to fix that Lagos do carrier maintenance function on Lagos. Of course, we saw some of the pre-notice was given, not giving Lagosians less than 2 weeks notice to go and close a very prominent bridge like that of what we're seeing here in Lagos. It's a sad one for Lagosians.
Yes, it is.
It's a sad
sad one.
Lagosians, and that's what caught my attention, Juma. I don't know what you saw on the papers.
Of course, you've said it all basically. Now I'm looking at Uromi killings. Political leadership of Edo Kano have settled issues. That's from the DHQ. Well, that's a step in the right direction, because when these political parties interface when it comes to issues like this, it's the individuals that suffer, the citizens of that particular state. So I'm glad that Edo Kano, they've settled their issues and peace will finally reign, which is very important. Of course, that Urumi killings was something that was not, it was really sad, because when you hear what actually played out with those northern Fulani individuals that went out, they are hunters, right?
Yeah.
And then this issue that they were killed and burnt by some individuals of Edo State is just really, really sad, because they were coming from rivers. They are hunters, and that issue it was just a misunderstanding, and those lives, because every life matters.
Every life matters, Jumai.
Every life matters. Like seriously, I don't
regardless
care.
of race, tribe,
please.
religion, every life matters.
When do we understand that we need each other? When do we get to that point? Like every life, it doesn't matter where you're from, it doesn't matter your religion, it doesn't matter what language you speak. Every life matters. Please, there's no sentiment about it. It's really sad. I really felt bad, really, but thank God now everything has been settled. But at the same time, you cannot bring these individuals back. You can. For those that escaped this, and their colleagues died, you cannot bring them back. And these are individuals that they have wives and all of that.
Breadwinners of their families.
Exactly, and they're just going to find means of livelihood, and this actually happened. It's just unfortunate, but thank God everything has been resolved now, and it didn't cause a national disaster, because but
all the rumble on the social media.
Exactly. Thank God, with all the tension, finally the settlement has been done. Thank God.
Let's get to the Nation's newspaper.
All right now, the Nation's newspaper, and above the nameplate of the Nation's newspaper, it says, INEC declares Natasha's recall petition dead. Okay, emphasis. Opponents will fight, and that you can find on page 3. And TIF locks down Lagos Island, Victoria Island, and you can find that read on page 4. It says non-stop chaos for 48 hours. And Bini Agog for Okpebolo after tribunal victory, governor on road show, and you can find that read on page 2. Okpebolo. Okay, and below the nameplate here it says El-Rufai others not yet in SDP, says state's chairman. And of course page 3 has a lot of rich stories that you can read and be well informed. And then the star story there says Sule governors okay tax reform bills as passed by reps. And the writer there says president endorsed adjusted VAT, Senate to pass bill after recess, says Pamitele. And then the Nation petition, IGP DSS DG, and says Media House seeks action on land trespass, threat to life. And basically that is all the story. Okay, at the bottom it says, my adopted planted bomb. I'm trying to get what that is all about now. Planted bomb beside me in captivity, says General Siga. Unfortunate incident there, but thank God all is well now. They've been rescued. Wow, I cannot imagine the fear that must have gripped his heart to see the bomb planted by his side. Unfortunate incident there, but thank God all is well now. And basically the next paper, I'm sure you'll be taking us through it, right?
I think unfortunately that's our last paper for today. That's on the Nation's newspaper. That's the last paper.
But before we wrap it up, what actually was your interest on the Nation's newspaper?
Always precision, and there's no time to beat around the bush with the Nation's newspaper. Hit it and let's hit it hard.
Exactly. Let's just hit it.
And I like the way they put the Benin Agog for Okpebolo after Tribunal's victory. Benin stood for Okpebolo. Of course, we've seen people come out to celebrate the victory, even the declarations and the judgment of the what they call this, the tribunal. One would have thought that but it's fine. We'll look at all of this conversation even in the course of the show. Then the tax reforms for me also works. The tax reform bills also works for. Okay, tax reform bills as passed by reps. President endorsed adjusted VAT. All right, all of this conversation we'll try to look at immediately after all of the when we come back on the other side of the conversation. My adopters planted bomb beside me in captivity, even in General Siga. Well, it's not like Juma. You said that this is really an interesting tale, because one cannot begin to imagine you see. Well, we'll go for a short break right now. When we come back, we'll talk more. Please stay with us.
Know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world.
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews and latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Welcome back. And just before we went on that break, we were talking about these whole issues around General Siga that was adopted, and also trying to look at the fact that he said that bomb was planted by his side, and that's a very sad one. I can't imagine the trauma that one will have to go through, first from being adopted, then secondly try to imagine that a bomb planted by your side, and all of this, you don't even, for those of us are not even trained military personnel, we might not even know the extent of the damage that the bomb can cause. Now the trauma alone that you're confronted with, death, it just in front of you, you're seeing two ways to go to the world beyond. It's really sad, of course, because in front of you, the likelihood that there's a gun in front of you, and by
just guns
in front of you.
The kidnappers, they don't come empty. Not just him, a lot of individuals. If you hear experiences, God,
it's a sad tale.
It's a very sad tale. No one prays for that, but you see, that is the security issues that we have in Nigeria now. I mean, someone was telling me that, the truth is, if we want to keep security today, we can. I was like, how? Like, well, that's it. A lot of people are making a lot of money when it comes to kidnappings, abduction, ritual killings, and people are making a lot of money. But that's not the easy way. But that is what it is now. It was never like this. 1993, was it ever? Do we hear of such case in 92, 1990? If we take it back, back. But just that this is what it is. And Nigerians, we can learn things that are not good very fast. The bad news spreads faster than the good news. Yeah. And this was what was happening overseas. We hear ransom for money. When we're watching movies about how these Americans go, not just Americans, a lot of people ransom for money, they kidnap family members and friends. That was where the idea came from. Really. And people, not the individuals who are trained, all of these ISIS, Boko Haram and all of that, who are trained, they don't waste time. It's bombing and they don't. But some Nigerians, like we talk about this guy, Evans now, that was what he was doing. He kidnapped for money. So some Nigerians started finding it very lucrative. Oh my goodness, you can actually kidnap someone for, it started small, 500,000. Someone can pay 1 million, 2 million, 3 million for, and it started growing, and that was it. So it's right now for individuals, it's a lucrative business, causing havoc, pain to families. And sometimes individuals might not even be lucky. They might pay the ransom and still kill.
That's the sad part.
I know a situation happened in Georgia, I will never forget. The woman, they actually paid that ransom money, but they killed her son. And he was the only child graduating. And they killed him. So the pain of that household. So that is it. It's not just issues, kidnapping people. It's just unfortunate that this is what it is. People just feel this is the fastest way to wealth, and it's not. It will never last. That kind of money will never last.
If you see the way these boys come out sometimes, or even on the Kaduna Expressway, the Kaduna Road from Niger State heading down to Kaduna. If you see the way these boys come out, most times they come out in their numbers.
Yes, they do.
And as if they know, and when they come out, they shoot periodically.
Oh yes.
They don't care. They don't minimize these bullets. They don't care who he hits or what have you.
They have a target.
They just come out, and sometimes they take 2-3 vehicles and they move all the passengers inside the bush. And from there, they started to make calls and all of this. It's a sad one.
It's a very sad. I saw a video making round on social media about a 16-year-old. I think it's 15 or 16. How there's a place in Ayobo in Lagos. It's making rounds now. And the boy says that what he does is when you're going out at night, that's why it's very important for those of night crawlers and you do not have a car and you're walking with your bold chest. These guys actually kidnap these individuals and they take them to a particular place and they kill them for their organs. And the 16-year-old said he doesn't carry, what he does is just ruffle the guys with arms and all of that with his weapons, and they hand them over to their boss, and the guy kills them instantly for their organs. And they ask him, how much did they give you? And he says, is it 50,000? Like, you kill people alive for 50,000 naira. And guess what baffles me is, like I have mentioned before, all lives are important. But the fact that that 16-year-old, I said, when I was 16, what was I thinking about? What was I thinking? We're still in secondary school. Like, seriously. We weren't thinking about, now these kids now, the ones that are, that have gone overboard, think about how to make money, how to get money quickly, how to drive expensive cars at the age of 15, 16. I think at the age of 15, I think I had my first crush. I think I will never forget D1.
We'll come back to this conversation. Let's go for this break. And when we come back, we'll be going straight, taking you to the AM news desk for the news. Then after the news, of course, we'll hear the other side of the conversation from Jumai. Please stay with us.
Know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world.
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews and latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to AM News on Global Television. Coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Jumai Manson. Now, a quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. You can download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. Now the news in full. Vice President Kashim Shettima has departed Abuja for Dakar, Senegal, to represent President Bola Tinubu at the country's 65th Independence Day anniversary celebrations. Stanley Owocha, Senior Special Assistant to the President of Media and Communications in the Office of the Vice President, stated that Shettima's attendance at the event was in honor of an invitation extended to President Tinubu for Senegalese President Bassirou Faye based on the mutual relationship between both countries. Edo State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal in Abuja has affirmed Senator Monday Okpebholo of the All Progressive Congress as the valid winner of the September 21st governorship election. The three-member panel, led by Justice Wilfred Pochi, dismissed the petition filed by the People's Democratic Party and its candidate, Asirime Ighodalo. The tribunal ruled that the petitioners failed to prove the allegations of overvoting and upheld that Okpebholo secured the highest number of valid votes. The Nigerian Police Force has urged Nigerians to continue to celebrate officers of the force for their contributions to safety of lives and property. This is just as the force assured its residents for the first ever National Police Day on April 7, 2025 at Eagle Square, Abuja. Queen Agaba has details.
Established by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in November 2024, the event will witness recognition of the sacrifices and achievements of police officers in safeguarding national security. First Public Relations Officer ACP Olumuyiwa Adejobi, while addressing journalists in Abuja, reaffirmed the commitment of the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetokun, to professional excellence and public service.
Police IGP Olukayode Adeolu Egbetokun, PD, NPM, reaffirms the force's commitment to professional excellence and public service. As preparations for this landmark occasion gain momentum, the IGP calls on Nigerians to join in celebrating the gallant officers of the Nigeria Police Force and their immense contributions to national security. The National Police Day stands as a testament to the resilience, dedication, and courage of police personnel and serves as an inspiration for future generations to uphold the highest ideals of service and integrity.
He announced that the celebration will run from April 2nd to April 7th, featuring humanitarian activities such as medical outreaches, community engagement, and security exhibitions. According to him, from April 2nd to April 6th, police commands nationwide will conduct outreach programs, while an exhibition on April 4th at Eagle Square will highlight locally manufactured security equipment, showcasing the NPF's commitment to local content and ICT-based policing.
National Police Day is designed to celebrate the dedication, sacrifices, and achievements of the Nigeria Police Force in ensuring national security. It will provide a platform to recognize the force's pivotal role in safeguarding lives and property, while reinforcing public trust and collaboration in maintaining law and order.
He urged Nigerians to celebrate the officers' contributions to national security, emphasizing that National Police Day symbolizes their resilience, dedication, and courage. For Global Television, Queen Agaba reporting.
Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma has sworn in the acting chief judge of the state and two newly appointed commissioners. The ceremony, which took place at the Government House in Owerri, underscores the governor's commitment to strengthening the judiciary and executive arms of government. Our correspondent Amarachi Ibe reports.
The ceremony Governor Uzodinma charged the newly appointed officials to uphold the principles of justice and service delivery in their respective offices, noting that their appointment is based on merit and the need to enhance governance in the state. The governor charged them to remain dedicated and accountable to the people of the state.
This opportunity to call on all our judicial officers to see their mandate as a sacred mandate, to do only those things that will be acceptable to both God and man, to always discharge their duties with the fear of God, and bring justice and equity to the people of Imo State.
Speaking on behalf of the newly appointed officials, Justice Nnamdi Nzoku, the acting chief judge, pledged to discharge their duties diligently and support the government's developmental agenda.
We must forge ahead and work assiduously for the strengthening of the third arm of government, and assuring Your Excellency that he will find in us dependable allies. Promise to abide by the oath of office to which I just subscribed, to discharge my duties accordingly, while assuring that I will strive to maintain a cordial relationship between the executive and the judiciary.
With these appointments, Governor Uzodinma reaffirmed his administration's commitment to effective governance and institutional reform in Imo State. From Government House, Owerri, Amarachi Ibe, reporting.
The federal government has announced the immediate reopening of the independent bridge Ahmadu Bello Way Marina bound to vehicular traffic. Minister of Works Dave Umahi announced this in a statement by the Federal Comptroller of Works in Lagos, Olukorede Kesha. The government had announced the closure of the bridge starting from April 1st for essential maintenance and rehabilitation works. Over now to Benue State Governor Hyacinth Alia says his administration is committed to supporting locally made products to promote indigenous innovations and boost industrialization in the state. The governor stated this at the 2025 exhibition for local investors held at the IBB Square in Makurdi, the state capital. Correspondent Felicity Indere tells us more.
The Benue State Governor has continued to deepen diplomatic ties and attract strategic investment. Governor Hyacinth Alia also noted that he is committed to industrializing the state to boost economic prosperity, reduce unemployment and foster self-reliance. The governor further called on the federal government and corporate bodies to partner with the local innovators through patronage of their products.
This event is a great milestone in our journey towards economic rejuvenation, self-sufficiency, and industrial growth.
Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Jumoke Adewolu, said she will ensure that locally made products across the country are exported and Nigeria meets global standards.
This exhibition is a testament to the creativity, talent, and ingenuity that defines the good people of Benue State. It reflects the spirit of resilience and innovation that defines the indefatigable entrepreneurial energy of this great state.
Igboko-based inventor Jacob Andonatio said he has invented a multi-purpose tractor to assist farming. The exhibition witnessed the display of products manufactured within Benue State and the showcasing of such creative efforts, which include agro and food processing, leather, fabrics, ceramics, arts and crafts, as well as software development. From IBB Square in Makurdi, Felicity Indere reporting for Global TV News.
The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has dismissed claims that it has introduced new 5,000 naira and 10,000 naira notes, labeling the report as false. In a statement posted on X, the Apex Bank debunked the rumors. The clarification comes amid widespread misinformation suggesting that the CBN plans to roll out high-denomination banknotes to reduce cash handling costs and improve liquidity management. The Bauchi State Ministry of Education has announced a resumption date for schools following a 5-week break for Ramadan. In a statement issued on Thursday by the Ministry's Information and Public Affairs Officer Jalaluddin Usman, parents and guardians were reminded that both day boarding schools will resume on Sunday, April 6th for the continuation of second term. The ministry also warned that late resumption will not be tolerated. The Nigerian Air Force has announced the appointment of Air Commodore Ehime Ejodame as its new spokesperson. It takes over from Air Vice Marshal Olushola Akimboyewa, who previously held the position. A statement by the Deputy Director of Public Affairs and Information Group Captain Kabir Ali stated that Ejodame is a seasoned officer with vast experience in logistics, strategic planning, and defense management. The National Counter-Terrorism Center has handed over the former Director General of the National Youth Service Corps, Moharazi Sige, and 18 others rescued kidnapped victims to the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu. The handover took place in Abuja, marking a significant milestone in ongoing efforts to combat kidnapping and insecurity in the country. It was reported that Siga was abducted alongside other persons on February 5, 2025 from his hometown of Siga in Bakori local government area of Katsina State. You are watching the live broadcast of AM News. When AM News returns, UEFA President slams FIFA 64-term World Cup as bad idea. Details coming shortly, plus business and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. You are welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is AM News on Global Television. Thank you for staying with us. On our business desk now, the World Bank has approved 3 funding operators for Nigeria, totaling $1.08 billion in consequential financing. These initiatives aim to improve quality of education, strengthen household and community resilience, and enhance nutrition for underserved groups. The funding includes $500 million in additional financing for the Nigerian community, Action for Resilience Economic Stimulus Program, $80 million for accelerating nutrition results in Nigeria, and $500 million for Hope of Quality Basic Education for All. Now over to the United States. President Donald Trump has announced a baseline 10% tariff on all U.S. imports alongside sharper country-specific reciprocal tariff aimed at nations that impose steeper duties on American goods. Exports from Nigeria to the U.S. was attract a 14% tariff compared to 27% that the U.S. government claims it received from Nigeria. Nigeria's trade with the United States printed a combined 31.1 trillion naira between 2015 and 2024, according to data from the National Bureau of Statistics. The United Nations says the global artificial intelligence AI market is projected to reach $4.8 trillion, roughly the size of Germany's economy, by 2033, warning nearly half of jobs worldwide would be affected. The U.S. Trade and Development Agency warned in a report that while AI is transforming economics and creating vast opportunities, the technology also risks deepening existing inequalities. In particular, the report cautioned that AI could impact 40% of jobs worldwide, offering productivity gains, but also raising concerns about automation and job displacement. The Nigerian Union of Pensioners Southwest Zone lamented the failure of the government to implement the 32,000 naira pension increase across the board for the pensioners as directed by President Bola Tinubu last year, September. President Tinubu had given the directive at the commencement of the payment of 70,000 naira new minimum wage to also ensure that pensioners were not excluded. The Public Relations Officer of the Union, Dr. Olusegun Abaton, raised this concern while addressing the press during the zonal meeting of the pensioners held in Abeokuta. After initial hesitation, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has increased the pump price of petrol to 925 naira per litre at its retail stations in Lagos and 950 naira per litre in Abuja. The new price regime effective from April 2nd, 2025 represents an increase of 65 naira from the previous price of 860 naira per litre in Lagos and in 70 naira difference from the 880 previously sold in the north. United States President Donald Trump has unveiled a series of tariffs targeting countries around the world, including some of the closest trading partners, in a move that risks sparking a disastrous trade war. Uyi Agbomofuegbe reports.
Speaking in the White House Rose Garden against a backdrop of U.S. flags, Trump slapped the most stringent tariffs on China and the European Union on what he called Liberation Day.
My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day. Waiting for a long time. April 2nd, 2025 will forever be remembered as the day American industry was reborn, the day America's destiny was reclaimed, and the day that we began to make America wealthy again.
Meanwhile, the dollar fell 1% against the euro and slipped against other major currencies as Trump was speaking. Trump reserved some of the heaviest blows for what he called the nations that treat us badly, including 34% on goods from superpower rival China, 20% on key ally, the European Union.
If you look at Switzerland, 61% to 31%. Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia. Oh, look at Cambodia, 97%. We're going to bring it down to 49. They made a fortune with the United States of America. United Kingdom, 10%, and we'll go 10%. So we'll do the same thing. South Africa, 60%, 30%, and they've got some.
An audience of cabinet members as well as workers in hard hats from industries including steel, oil and gas whooped and cheered as Trump said the tariffs would make America wealthy again. Uyi Agbomofuegbe reporting for Global TV News.
Syria has strongly condemned a fresh wave of Israeli strike on airbase and other military sites overnight as an unjustified escalation. The Foreign Ministry says the attack almost destroyed Hama airbase and injured dozens of people. A monitoring group reported that 4 Defense Ministry personnel were killed. Israel's military says it hit capabilities that remained at the Western Hama and Central T4 airbase along with military infrastructure in Damascus. It also said Israel forces killed gunmen during a ground operation in Daraa province where authorities put the death toll at 9. Hungary is withdrawing from the International Criminal Court (ICC), its government has announced. A senior official in Prime Minister Viktor Orban's government confirmed this hours after Israel's leader Benjamin Netanyahu, who is sought after an ICC arrest warrant, arrived in Hungary for a state visit. Orban had invited Netanyahu as soon as the warrant was issued last November, saying the ruling would have no effect in his country. Myanmar's junta's chief Min Aung Hlaing is in Thailand for regional summit as his country reels from an earthquake that killed thousands and left cities in ruins. The earthquake in central Myanmar last Friday killed 3,085 people and injured 4,715. The junta has said hundreds more are missing and the toll is expected to rise. Min Aung arrived in Bangkok on Thursday on the eve of a summit that will gather leaders of the 7 countries that border the Bay of Bengal. And in sports now, Nigerian Moses Simon has been nominated for 2025 Marc Veni Fo Award, which recognizes the best African players in France La Ligue 1. The FC Natus winger, who has been in superb from this season, is aiming to become the 3rd Nigerian to win the prestigious honor following Vincent Enyima and Victor Osimhen. In preparation for a successful hosting and solid preparation for the National Sports Festival tagged Gateway Games 2024, the Ogun State government distributed checks of 500,000 naira subvention to 33 sports associations in the state on Wednesday. The 22nd National Sports Festival is scheduled for May 16th to 30th in the state. The state athletes for the festival are also expected to commence closed-door camping with immediate effect. UEFA President Alexander Ceferin says it will be a bad idea for FIFA to expand expand the World Cup to 64 nations for the 2030 tournament. The 2026 edition in the United States, Mexico, and Canada will already see the format increase from 32 teams to 48. But the head of the Hungarian Football Federation, Ignacio Alonso, suggested further expanding the tournament at the last FIFA Council meeting in March. Now, as we end the Global TV AM news, let's take a quick look at our top stories again. Brought to you that the Nigerian Air Force has announced the appointment of Air Commodore Ehime Ojodeme as its new spokesperson. And in business, the U.S. says the global artificial intelligence market is projected to reach $4.8 trillion, roughly the size of Germany's economy, by 2033, warning nearly half of jobs worldwide will be affected. And all the foreign scene, Syria has strongly condemned a fresh wave of Israeli strikes on air base and other military sites overnight as an unjustified escalation. And in sports, UEFA President Alexander Koferin says it will be a bad idea for FIFA to expand the World Cup to 64 nations for the 2030 tournament. That's it on AM News, and a quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen by using @Global TV NG. You can download the Global TV Nigerian app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. I am Jumai Madison. Thank you for watching. Good morning. Do you know that Global Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch Global Television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Do you know that Global Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch Global Television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews and latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning. know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews and latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning. Do you know that Global Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch Global Television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
All right, welcome back from that news break. Of course, this is still Global Morning on Global Television. Well, out there this morning tends to be a very, very warm day, and we don't know, we can't say for sure right now if the weather is going to be like this all through, because it's a bit warm. Unlike when we had the sun yesterday, that was a bit not too friendly. And of course the heat wave and all of this climate change, electromagnetic spectrums, ozone layer deplections, have all of these occurrences. And so someone casually said that the sun can make a madman to run mad, even in Abuja. But then if you think the sun in Abuja is something to write home about, wait till it gets to let me not go to Kogi State like Kogi State, but if you get to Lokoja right now, you know that Abuja sun is a bit friendly. Abuja sun can help you to stay relaxed, but even at this point in time, you need to stay hydrated. You need to stay but don't look for shade around and just walk around it to ensure that you're safe, because your safety is paramount even to us here on Global Morning. But then, Juma, I know you've had your share of the sun recently.
Yes, of course. Sunburns are very real. Might say like we're not white. Let me use your own word, yellow, like you always say. But being light skinned or dark skinned, you need to avoid sunburns. It's very important. They are real. They can cause a lot when it comes to the skin. And Nigerians, most of us don't believe in sunscreen. Please, it's very important. Sunscreen for male and female to avoid sun. It's like a guard that protects your face from being
sunburned.
No, for male and female.
Like we've seen female use foundation, then use apply.
No, this is the sun screen. It just helps you to protect, just guard you away from the sun. It's very important that so that your face will have the same color combination as your face and your neck and all of that. It just guards your face, because mostly when we go out, the hands are exposed, the face is exposed and all of that, but our clothing covers up everything, so the sun doesn't really get to that part, giving you a different color of skin. So it's better you apply the sunscreen. Most people don't use sunscreen.
No, I'm just curious. You know, when you say sunscreen,
yes.
I'm curious.
It's very important.
You know, like those adverts where you watch it those days where one person will be in the bathroom trying to be slowly washing his or herself, slow. Do men have all of this luxury of time to be doing sunburn? Yeah, I know
so
men.
You want your face to get.
Men will react, of course, on the social media platform displayed on the screen. If sunburn, how many men in Nigeria use sunburn?
Exactly.
It's like you're saying men should start using powders.
It's all about. Some men use powder. Don't get the white powder. But at the same time, if you're not going to use sunscreen, get your dark shades.
Okay.
Get your shades to protect your eyes from the sun. People because we're Nigerians, people think it's too expensive to take care of yourself, but it's very important. It always has a side effect. There's some color epidemic that will never go up because it's dark, very dark compared to the same color of your face. So it's very important. You have to guard yourself and protect yourself from all of that now.
Well, for most men, I don't know if I'm speaking for myself, but I know most men out there, I'm speaking for the majority of men out there, we'll see most of those things as time.
I knew you were going to say that part.
To come back, you get back home, you have to go and wash your face after taking your bath. Now use what they call it, there's this board you use to clean your face, cotton wood to put in spirit, it's not spirit. No, not spirit. Start cleaning your faces and all of this.
Just a face clean.
A dermatologist will say, "Hey, Godwin, you need all of this," and I'll reply and say,
"Sometimes
last time I check, I'm a man."
It doesn't. It has nothing to do with your gender.
See, imagine the man.
It's all about.
Juma, picture a man coming back with a cotton wood, and he returns back home. He now puts more, like what my wife does every night. She puts small and. It's quite interesting.
It's very important. It's very, very important.
It's quite interesting, Juma. I can't picture it right now.
But you should, basically. It's all about self-care. We need that. Sometimes you just need to pamper ourselves. It's not so expensive. Sometimes you just need to relax and just pamper yourself, because really the hustle and bustle when it comes to the issues making rounds, people are thinking about a lot. And for that stability, you need to just take a deep breath for you to, get yourself back and pamper yourself once in a while. You don't have to have so much money. I know you say, Juma, please, I'm thinking about school fees, I'm thinking about transport, I'm thinking about this. But sometimes
Juma, I didn't know you were going to let that out of the bag,
I know you were going to say that. But the truth is, with all of these hikes up and down, and of course we know that now petrol prices have now at least calmed down when it comes to 850 in some places, 750 compared to 950 compared to how it was. Some might say it's a little deduction. Juma is very little, but it's something. At least that little, it starts from there, and then you graduate to something much more bigger than, as in when we talk about the reduction and all of that. But at the same time, it's something. So with all of these issues at hand, petroleum products, high cost of transportation, feeding and all of that, sometimes you just need to take a chill pill and relax. Why? Because your mental health is very important. So all of these things is a form of relaxation to take your mind, to just distract you from the fact that you have a lot of bills to pay tomorrow. So once you just get yourself distracted from little things that will just keep you happy and make you laugh. You know, laughing is therapeutic. Do you know that? When you laugh out loud, because there are some people that, with all of these things that are happening in Nigeria, high cost of transportation, you cannot even eat 3 square meals a day, the high inflation of goods in the market, and we're yet to find out whether food is still on the low now that the Ramadan, and of course we're in this period of Lent and all of that. If it's still the same way, if there's any change, I'm yet to know, by the way. But so far so good.
So far so good.
So
I
far
think
so
it
good.
has been fair.
It has been fair, yes. So we want to really know. But at the same time, sometimes you need to distract yourself from things like that. I'm talking about the social the human angle part now. You can not the pigeon part is the problem, no, they finish. And the truth of the matter is that you have to distract yourself in order for you to get abreast with yourself and understand that there is much more to life than all of this stress that you are accumulating and all of that. With time, one step at a time, you get it done.
You get it done one step.
So distract yourself in so many ways that you can. You can go swimming. You can do the facials like I've mentioned. Do whatever.
For the men, you can go swimming, of course.
It's something you can do at home. Really.
Jumai, let's not go that facial route. That route is not funny at all.
Let's quickly go on a very quick. Remember, it's TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. A lot of people are preparing for a lot of things, and hopefully we'll get to hear some news.
A lot of O1 bears in the course of the weekend.
Exactly.
O1 bears are piled up.
O1 bears are piled, and yet we say that we don't have money in this country.
There's money. Money is where it is, you know.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews and latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews The latest news with expert on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
Welcome back. So let's quickly even look at the conversation making the rounds right now, talking about Donald Trump and the various tariff hike and the policies being put in place by the U.S. president. Let's take this video and we'll come back and talk a little on it about it before we take our first guest who is already on standby. Please, let's watch.
Speaking in the White House Rose Garden against a backdrop of U.S. flags, Trump slaps the most stringent tariffs on China and the European Union on what he called Liberation Day.
My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day. Waiting for a long time. April 2nd, 2025 will forever be remembered as the day American industry was reborn, the day America's destiny was reclaimed, and the day that we began to make America wealthy again.
Meanwhile, the dollar fell 1% against the euro and slipped against other major currencies as Trump was speaking. Trump reserved some of the heaviest blows for what he called the nations that treat us badly, including 34% on goods from superpower rival China, 20% on key ally, the European Union.
If you look at Switzerland, 61% to 31%. Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia. Oh, look at Cambodia, 97%. We're going to bring it down to 49. They made a fortune with the United States of America. United Kingdom, 10%, and we'll go 10%. So we'll do the same thing. South Africa, 60%, 30%, and they've got some.
An audience of cabinet members as well as workers in hard hats from industries including steel, oil and gas whooped and cheered as Trump said the tariffs would make America wealthy again. Uyi Agmofwebe reporting for Global TV.
All right, well, that's quite interesting because we thought that for once African country will get a soft landing even on the global tariff war as it's been called right now. Africans will get soft landed, but hearing that South African is going with 60% on that particular tariff, it's really very sad. I thought that South Africa is an African country since they enjoy some form of a bilateral relationship between Africa and America. We should be able to work out modalities, but then it's on the flip side of the conversation. I think it's good development for Africa to begin to look inward.
Exactly.
So we've seen a country like Burkina Faso. Have you seen what Burkina Faso is doing with their prisoners right now?
Exactly.
They've converted them to automatic farmers. They take their prisoners, that's why they go for food sufficiency, and they ensure that all their prisoners go to the farms, they produce the farm, they harvest the crops on the farm, and they sell those crops on the market. That's your punishment, which you do now. Burkina Faso right now is also looking at ways to start creating their own indigenous planes and electronic vehicles that will be launched before the end of this year. A lot of innovations going on in Burkina Faso. Of course, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger also have done 0.5% and tariff for trade among this. So all of this begins to push Africans to begin to look inward. When they got out of ECOWAS, they left with the France the France body, and all of this. When they pull out, people were wondering, how are they going to survive? How are they going to cope?
Exactly. I remember that.
But now we begin to look inward. Instead of traveling abroad, somebody will say, why is Nigerian president traveling abroad at this point in time where we have a lot of natural resources that has not even been tapped into? looking at a state like the Confluence State, which is Kogi State, for example. I don't know why I keep mentioning Kogi State.
I have no idea.
But then Kogi State is one state that I respect a lot. Not because of the fact that you are a Kogite, but the fact is Kogi has a lot of natural resources, untapped natural resources.
Blessed.
When I got to from Lokoja, I traveled down to Dekina local government, which I went to Ainga and also going to all of those places. You see, Kogi is blessed. When I say a state is blessed, Kogi is really blessed. You see coal it's natural coal that you can compete with what you have in almost similar what you have in Enugu. And this is just one part of it. Now, talking about other resources in Kogi State, but then I don't know for whatever reason why these resources are not being harnessed to its fullest, to the benefit of humanity, especially the indigenes of Kogi State. Because when you go through Kogi State, I begin to wonder if Kogi State has a government. Yes, to a very large extent. I can say that on authority. I can say that for free. We get from the Kenya local government through to other part of the state, getting to Ida and all of those Angba, and coming back down to Okene, going back to what they call this other place here. You have as if you're coming in from Kaba. You're coming in from Kaba. When you see the roads in Kogi State, you begin to wonder, among the resources that the state is blessed with, why are we not seeing the impact of the resources on this state? Kogi is just on the one side. Look at Benue State.
Others, yes.
Take that conversation back to Taraba State. Now, this is a sad tale. Nigeria is blessed with a lot of natural resources. So why are we not looking inward? Why are we not looking? All right, at this point, we'll go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll be delving into the first conversation. Please stay with us.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews and latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Disbursing upkeep of 20,000 naira.
Know that you cannot talk about a healthy nation if you don't have means to produce your own in addition to importing.
The CG
is the principal actor of this because it's within her jurisdiction. Minister is a supervisor.
We must run in accordance with the Constitution of CAN, where you have just a single time.
The human factor, you have the infrastructural factor, then you have the mechanical factors.
The Senate, with all due respect, they were so hasty in passing that judgment.
The statement I'm about to make is we're not even aware.
That is the future.
You have to be aware before you can begin to be prepared.
Back in just in case you're just joining us, this is Global Morning. You're on Global Television, and my name is Godwin Sunday. As Africa's most populous country, Nigeria carries the highest burden of malaria globally, accounting for approximately 27% of the global malaria burden and 31% of malaria deaths worldwide. According to the 2023 World Malaria Report, nearly 200,000 deaths from malaria occur alone in Nigeria. Now, speaking of statistics, that was gathered just 2024. Joining me to talk about issues around malaria in Nigeria is John Ocholi, who is the programs director of malaria and from the Site for Family Health. You're welcome to Global Morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Pleasure to be here. All right, so let's start the conversation by a wise man once said that a clarification of concept will lead to the avoidance of doubt and create an epistemological understanding to what is to be discussed.
Yeah.
First, let's start from the basis. What is malaria?
So most times when people begin to ask questions and make it complicated, you tell people what you really want to find out. As the simple truth is that malaria is a sickness, is a disease, and it's caused by a parasite. All right, and then malaria is transmitted through the bite of a female Anopheles mosquito, and when you get the parasite in your body, it causes you to be sick, and it comes with symptoms that will tell you your body is not feeling well. And some of these symptoms usually are things that you feel: headache, stomach pain, joint pains, fever. People have different feelings, different symptoms that they feel when they have it. And so most times when people begin to feel unwell, the general advice is you should go for a test to find out what's wrong with you. A healthy person will feel strong and will be on top of his day. But when you begin to feel not too well, some symptoms with pains and all that, these pains or these feelings could be caused by any other thing other than malaria. And so the best way for you to know if you have malaria is to go for a test, where a test will be done, either doing microscopy or using RDT, which can be done quickly. And luckily for us now, test for malaria is affordable, it's available, it's accessible everywhere. And so when you do the test and you're sure that it's malaria, then you do the right treatment for malaria. In the past, people take what we're using before, chloroquine and others, but now the certified medicine to use for malaria is the ACT, artemisinin combination therapy. So malaria is caused by the bite of the female Anopheles. When putting that parasite into our body. And Nigeria is endemic. Endemic meaning that every part of Nigeria, you are susceptible to get malaria.
So we can't say that malaria is an airborne disease. We cannot say that malaria is a spiritual attack.
It's not.
As most people will want to perceive malaria to be. When you've been inflicted, the people run to their religious center to get cleansing and to get holy waters and all of you. So you're saying that malaria is not any of this?
Malaria is not any of that. Now, the beauty of the whole thing is that you can use yourself to check how you feel. And with awareness, not just for malaria, but general awareness, well-being for healthcare and health delivery, if you take care of yourself and you do what you're supposed to do, you notice that you get better, you live better, you're stronger and all that. And even for malaria, so we're saying malaria can be transmitted through the bite of the female Anopheles. And now we're now saying that you can afford it, you can avoid it, you can stop it so you don't get that malaria. And how do you do that? You try to see how you can create a barrier between you and the mosquito, which is a vector that transmits the malaria. That can happen when you are awake and you can drive the mosquito away, which is a normal thing, right? Anything special in your body, you want to drive them away. You can wear long clothing, trousers when you're out where you know mosquitoes can bite you. Yes, sometimes people use what they call protection on their doors and windows, netting, so that the mosquitoes cannot come into the house. But when you're sleeping at night and you're inactive, mosquitoes can perch on you and you don't feel anything and they bite you, transmit. And so that time we ask that people sleep inside the insecticide, malaria insecticide treated net. So when you sleep inside the insecticide treated net, you sleep peacefully and the mosquitoes don't bite you. Now there are other controls that we can do, environmental. We can clean our environment to reduce the breeding spaces of the mosquitoes, right? We're doing indoor residual spray, even though that's not been done right now in Nigeria on a large scale. But we do the other ones. And then also when women are pregnant and they go for antenatal, there's a point in the pregnancy where they give them IPT, again trying to ensure that the woman is protected and the child is protected also from malaria. And then for children under 5, there's what we call the seasonal malaria chemoprophylaxis. We do that by giving children some kind of protection within the period where we know that the population of the vector, the mosquito, increases during the rainy season, and that happens to take care of children less than 5 years. So a lot of things can be done to protect ourselves. So malaria is not spiritual. It's not something that comes from the air. It's something that happens and you know what transmits and how it happens and you can protect yourself.
All right, thank you for that clarification. Again, mosquitoes, like you've said, is a primary cause of malaria. Hope I got that correctly. Now, it has been with us as long as Africa can still remember or recall that we exist as a people in Africa. But then the death toll of malaria right now, as at 2023-2024 report, shows that we are recording, or just in Nigeria, about 200 deaths, and malaria is being born out of mosquito bites. What has changed from where we were as a people, where we had lesser deaths, to this point where the death numbers keep increasing, as a mosquito automatically metamorphosed into something else?
Also, it's a game of numbers. It's a game of statistics and trying to pull one over the other. So for example, if you take absolute data and you begin to count from maybe when we started trying to measure statistics from sometime around 2010 in the country, around that time we say that the prevalence of malaria in Nigeria is about 45%, which means from every 10 people you count, about 5 of them will have malaria parasite in their body. And then we started a lot of things, plenty of activities the government was doing. Provision of the nets. We started with doing a lot of mass campaigns, mass distribution of free nets to every household that we call Scale Up for Impact, where you go to every community and you give every household a net to ensure that there's a net in every home, and over sleeping spaces people get nets to sleep. Nets were also provided for antenatal clinic, because continuous distribution to pregnant women who come, and then children who also go for ANC and who go for child welfare clinic immunization and all that, they also get the net. In addition to that, the government expanded opportunity for people to get tested when they feel unwell. So private clinics, pharmaceutical, that's community pharmacies, proprietary patent medicine vendors, the one you call chemists, a lot of them were trained, their capacities were built, and then the country provided the RDT, Rapid Diagnostic Test, which is a test that can be done even by yourself, but then they are available in these places so we can test to be sure that this is malaria we're having before you can treat for malaria. Also, we increased the availability of ACT. There was what was called the affordable medicines for malaria. There was a time that ACTs were so expensive that the right medicine for malaria was so expensive, but with the support of the government and donors and partners, the country was able to reduce the cost of malaria medicines to be affordable for people. And so with all that happening, and I talked about the pregnant women earlier, all that pulled together, Nigeria was able to reduce the incident from 45 to sometime around 27 in 2015. And then gradually we keep moving. It's slow, but right now we're around 21, 22%, which means from 10 people you count now, you're seeing 2 people with a parasite. And that's why we're saying that when people fall sick these days and you're not feeling too well, you just need to check. It might just not be malaria. But then if you're talking about absolute numbers of people dying or getting infected, because the population is increasing, if you have 10 people and you say 2% of 10 is 2, if you have 50 people and you say 2% of 50, you know that's still a big number. So the number increases because the population is increasing. But the good thing is if you look at the proportion of the increase and how the country is doing, I would say we're making great progress towards elimination.
All right, so let's talk about the myth of malaria. Are there actual myths around malaria incidences in Nigeria?
Just you started by saying whether it's airborne or spiritual.
Yeah,
right? So those are the myths, right?
No, but we've heard about a lot of. I just chipped in that spiritual and airborne, but then you are in the field, and you of course you're more of a health practitioner, a community health practitioner, if I beg your pardon. So. But when in the course of you being on the field, are there myths that you feel we need to debunk outside the spiritual angle of it?
Yeah, there are lots of myths. Some people tell you you're having malaria because you stay too long in the sun. Some people say you're having malaria because you've taken too much oil. Some people say you're having malaria just like you said because it was transferred to you, maybe witchcraft or other. So there are different thoughts and beliefs that people think are the reasons for malaria. But what we continue to do is to try to educate people and enlighten people. And that is why in the communities, we have people like we call the community IPC agents, interpersonal communication agents, who move from house to house to talk to households on what malaria is, among other diseases or other sickness that people can have, and how people can protect themselves, how they contract it and how they can protect themselves, and how to also treat it when they feel sick or when they have malaria. So when we do this, we're trying to reduce the myths and misconception that is there. But there are myths and misconceptions. But the good thing is that based on the quick surveys that are done after net campaigns or after SMC, that's the seasonal malaria practice, we're seeing that those myths are reducing. What we now need to do is we need people to be active or take action to protect themselves or to treat themselves correctly.
Mr. John Ocholi, when you say that one can't get malaria while staying in sun, of course the heat wave is here with us right now.
Yeah.
A lot of Nigerians would like to get that clarity again. Are you saying that for real, that sun cannot give one malaria? Or staying in the sun for too long cannot translate to you having malaria?
So let me explain something.
All right.
The answer is no. Sun cannot give you malaria.
All right.
Okay. Now, so there are fever. When you say fever, fever is a change in temperature. Usually, you rise in the body temperature. So they say you have a fever. Okay. Now, even for the normal fever people hear about, you hear typhoid fever, Lassa fever, different kind of fevers, things that cause those fevers. All right. So sometimes when those fevers come, people quickly just begin to say, hey, I have my body temperature is hot. My body don't hurt me. If I say I get malaria, it's not malaria. It's just you have a fever. Your body is hot. But malaria fever, you want to be sure that it's the parasite that is causing it. So you want to test to be sure that that is what is wrong. Sometimes people could get tired. People could get exhausted and feel sick. Sometimes some people feel hungry and they have headache, right? So you say because you're hungry, you got malaria, you got food hunger. That's what you need to do. Eat food and you'll be well. But when you feel sick and it comes to those symptoms, or you feel that you're not yourself, the advice is to get to where you can do a check. Now, one good thing is we need to have that behavior necessary for us to improve healthcare in Nigeria. Every one of us, the team for the year for the malaria is for us to be accountable. Every one of us, we say all of us, we should zero malaria starts with us. And how does that happen? If you feel sick, if your home feels sick, if your children feel sick, we advise that you look for the nearest diagnostic lab if you can't get to a clinic. It doesn't cost much to do a malaria parasite test. Sometimes it's 500, sometimes it's 1,000 naira. But it's better to do that test for 500 or 1,000 naira than to go and buy the drug for 7,000 naira when you're not sure. So for example, in my home, I do that now, and my children, you don't give them medicine without a test, because they ask you, Daddy, you didn't do a test, why are you taking the drug? So it's a culture that we're building in my home. And I want us to see how we can do that. That's what the minister, that is what the government wants to happen. Let's build that culture that when we're taking drug, we're taking the right drug. And when we're doing the treatment, we are treating with the correct one. If we do that, the matter about staying outside and getting malaria, you will not get malaria from the sun.
Well, thank you for that clarification. Again, there is this, the campaign against malaria and its eradication in Nigeria tends to stem around urban communities. Of course, we get a lot of fight malaria campaigns in urban communities, and persons will come up with buses, put up sound systems, and we've seen all of this play out on urban cities across the country. But it tends to be that the campaigns on malaria in rural communities, which are the primary people being affected by malaria, tends to be infinitesimally low in this regard. But I want to ask at this point, why is this so?
Yes, so I will not say exactly it is. I will not say exactly that's what happened now. So again, I mentioned actual numbers and statistics and what you see. So because most of us are in the cities where we stay, the cities where the people that have the phone to snap, the cameras, the TV, the stations, the radio, they are in the city. And so most times we quickly can see what happens in the city and report that it's happening. In the rural area, it's only when you go there that you see that this is happening. Or people in the rural area sometimes don't have means of reporting up. But for people who do program, including the Federal Ministry of Health, who coordinates activity, effort is made to ensure that the project or the activities are spread across the country. And so we even have what we're now calling the Urban Malaria Control Strategy. So for Urban Malaria Control Strategy, you want to look at how you can now break the country and break into states, break the states into LGS into ward, and even break them into as little as tiny communities. So what we call is stratification. We break it down to that little places, and then we identify what works well. So in the urban center, it's easy to come on TV because people can reach it. It's easy to use mass media, billboards, and all that. But when you go to rural areas, you want to tap into their community activities. Market days, that's where you can see the people do activity. You want to tap into home to home, where you can meet the people in their houses. When they have community dialogue or special event meetings, that's where the people target and those things happen. And then, for example, for net distribution now, there's a thought that you want to give the nets to people who need them more in the rural areas. So even for distribution of IT, and now we're now talking about urban malaria strategy. For SMC reaches everywhere, even in the most difficult places. Some places where even having security challenges or difficult terrain, there are strategies and programs that are put to ensure that everywhere. So everybody, every part of Nigeria is actually being covered. It's just that we see what happened in the city more quickly, so it makes it look like there are more activities in the city, but it's all over.
The Society for Family Health has been on the forefront of championing the cause for good family health even across the country. Of course, we can't take that away from down from Iwoye House when in Lagos and spread across the country. We can't take that away from the Society for Family Health. Big ups and kudos to the Society for Family Health for that. But then let's look at this conversation around the net distributions across the country. Of course, we have an uneven distribution of nets across the country, and in some part of the country, we've seen where people sell these nets to rural dwellers, as it were. Are there modalities and procedures to ensure that these nets are being monitored, that they are not being sold? Are there policy statement put in place to ensure that they are not sold? That's on the first hand. On the second hand, are there also modalities to ensure that if found selling this net, I don't know if the nets are free right now or they've been sold, but if found been selling this net, you've been prosecuted by the law authority?
So again, we talked about strategies for how we can manage malaria or control malaria, and one of them is the net use. So the government of Nigeria with partners including SFH over the years have distributed a lot of nets in the country. I think in Nigeria we distributed close to 300 million nets between 2000 and 2008 and up to now. Yes, the nets are distributed across the country, state by state. Sometimes it's a subject of availability of funding. Some of these funds come from the government of Nigeria, some of the funds come from partners, international partners, sometimes maybe from multinational corporations, organizations who also want to provide some kind of malaria support or control in the communities. Now, when these nets are provided, they are distributed majorly from using two channels. The first is the mass campaign, which we mentioned. So in the mass campaign, you want to go to the community or go to the state and ensure that every household gets a net. All right. So you want to increase the number of nets in the community because it also have that communal effect because they are insecticidal. They can kill the mosquito. So if you have a net in this place and you have mosquitoes here, the net can actually reduce the population of the mosquito because they kill some of them. So the more nets you have in a community, there's a community effects that the net can provide. All right. Then the other means where people can get net is where we talk about the routine distribution. Routine distribution at ANC for pregnant women and children under 5 who go for child welfare clinic immunization and all that. And sometimes you give them in schools or communities. And then there's a social marketing where you can buy the nets in a pharmacy or in the pet medicine store or in the supermarket. You can buy the nets where you can find them. But what we actually tell people when you're buying them is to make sure that they are insecticide treated nets. They are long-lasting insecticide treated nets. So when you give the net for free, there's a tendency that people want free things and they want to grab as much as possible. But what we do is to ensure that when we go to a place, we do what we call a micro planning. You know how many populations are there in the state, in the LG, in the ward. You now want to get how many people are going to work to distribute the nets around the household. And when you get to a household, you want to find out how many people currently sleep in the house. So you give them the quantity or the required number of net that they will use based on your strategy. Because it's free, there are tendencies that some people want to sell them. So what do we do? So most times when you want to give the net, you reduce the value. You don't give them packaged nets. You want to remove it from the pack and give them plain nets. And you tell them what to do, air them for 24 hours before you start sleeping inside them. And then also as part of the distribution, there are a lot of advocacies, written gatekeepers and different leaders in the community and in the state to talk about discouraging people who sell them. We've seen during campaigns where some people move around household and want to buy the nets for 200-300 naira so they can go and resell them in some places. And when those people are apprehended, we hand them over to the police and they prosecute them. It's a call that we continue to do every time we go to a state, especially because where you do the net campaign, there's more tendencies for those nets to be pilfered from those places to other states. All right. So when we can manage it in that place and discourage people from selling, that's the best place we can. So you want to reduce the value of sale by removing from the pack, and then you also want to encourage the people and say use the net, don't sell them, and tell the community gatekeepers that when we get anybody buying the net, we should persecute the person.
So what I'm saying, asking this because a lot of rural communities, especially the riverine communities, we've seen cases where this net had been sold. But in terms of prosecution and being handed over to the law enforcement agency, we've not seen this in a very large extent being on the media space. So that's why I want to even find out, on behalf of the people living in riverine communities, is there possibility of ensuring that some of this prosecution becomes public and so that people can monitor it?
Yeah, so those are some thoughts that people can look at. But again, you know, sometimes what make news, you can't determine what really make news, right? and what people capture for news. So some of this thing might be happening, but maybe at that lower level. But maybe not persecution of bringing them to the courts and all that. But if people still in high volume, yes, they are persecuted. I know that in one of the campaigns in Kaduna, where somebody was trying to steal about 13 bales of net, each bale sometimes come packaged either 40, 50, or 60. So in a bale of 50, I normally speak stealing about 13. That person is making up with a lot of nets that are supposed to go to household. So when those people are arrested, you give them to the police. And I think in one of those police crime fighter, I think one of those, it came out sometime around 2019. Yeah, it came out like that. So sometimes when it happens like that, the persecution happens. But if the media doesn't carry, people don't really know that that is happening. But then it is happening. But what we can do is only continue to do more and maybe make it public. And one of the things we've also done is that in states where campaigns are happening, the commissioners for health come out to give press statement to say that they discourage this and all that, and that they give strong commitment to ensuring that that doesn't happen. And we also get like the net ambassador, who sometimes the wife of the governor or a very influential person in the state, who also bring this. And these are things we need to continue doing. But the major events or the major persons we need to talk with is the people who get the net. So if people understand the reason why they're getting the net and they use the net as they're supposed to use them, then selling the net is even reduced from that stage. That is where we need to start from.
All right. So a couple of years ago, we understand that we have anti-malaria corps that was inaugurated in the Federal Capital Territory. I don't know if you are aware there is a corps for anti-malaria. Okay, so let's even find out from you, in the discharge of your duty, how has it been so far in combing malaria in Nigeria with the corps?
Yeah, so I want to say that from the statistics I laid out from 2010 up to now, we're making great progress. And in making those progress, it's a combination of everybody working together. The Ministry of Health, the minister is leading a strong fight. Sometime late last year, there was a Rethink Malaria conference where the minister called and said, we need to take additional measures to see how we can reduce malaria. Recently, we heard Egypt was certified free of malaria. Cape Verde in Africa, Algeria in Africa. And so it gives us hope that we can also get there. And therefore, the things we keep doing at those levels where the government is doing has at the federal and then the state governments. And then we have partners who are also working, like Society for Family Health, among other people. But we want the community also to take ownership and participate as much as possible. And that is why we brought the Zero Malaria Starts With Me movement. So it's part of the COPS that we say. There are a lot of activities that we're. You've watched on the cable TV where they say draw the line against malaria. So draw the line in front of your house, draw the line with you standing on the line. I stand on the line, you run the battle to the other person. Let's draw the line and see how we can manage it. Let's bring zero malaria. And that is why we're saying zero malaria also start with us as this year. So what are you doing in your little space to see how we can cop that? If you ask yourself, take yourself like 10 years back and ask yourself, in 10 years ago, 2014, how many times did I suffer malaria episode? And then come back to last year and ask yourself, how many times did I suffer malaria? And you begin to see that I think it's reducing. Ask yourself. Most of us should. And we'll see that it's actually reducing. So anytime you're sick these days, it might just not be malaria, it might be something else. But again, we need to make those deliberate efforts and become part of that line we're drawing to make sure that we can zero malaria. If in your home you have children, are they sleeping inside the nets every night when they sleep? What about you? Sometimes we adults say, oh, I'm not sleeping inside the net. But what about the children whose immunity is low? What about the pregnant woman? If a woman is pregnant, do you encourage her to go for ANC so that she can see good medical care, seek good medical care? We have people in the rural areas who are there, like you say, in the rural area. So when you're talking to your cousins in the rural area and they have wives, tell them, go to the clinic when you're pregnant. Tell children who are sick. I know somebody who said that he will not take medicine because he believes he's just going to be healed by prayer. Yes, prayer heals, you understand. But the truth is that even Jesus, when he wanted to heal the blind man, he would have just told the man, open your eyes and see. But he took sand and saliva and applied in the eye, not the nose, not the leg, but the eye where he did that. I said, wash it. That was medication. And the person was well. Okay, so we need to also come in and take that commitment to prevent the mosquitoes from biting us, to ensure that we protect pregnant women and children under 5, and to ensure that people use the net every day. And when you feel sick, you should ensure that you do a test to be sure it's malaria. If it's malaria, then treat with ACT. If we can pull that and do that every time, then our environment. Most of us will leave our environment and we keep saying, Nigeria is dirty, my environment is dirty, but you ask yourself, what have you done? Your gutter is there, it's sitting down and it's pulling mosquitoes, it's breathing it. Even in our house, we have open containers. This is rainy season now. There will be a lot of rain, and the rains will be collected in tire hoops, in a lot of, even on the fence when sometimes we put those bottles and all that thing, it collects it and breeds mosquitoes around. So what are we doing? If we can pull that together, we can now begin to push towards the zero malaria in the country.
There is this narrative that the fight against malaria is political. There is this other narrative that says that, it's a narrative of course, it says that the Western powers are using the fight against malaria and this whole malaria concept to be able to penetrate Africa and deliver some of the agenda of the West. How correct is this narrative?
Not correct at all. Because I asked you and ask yourself, the last time you had malaria, was it a political thing? The last time you felt sick, you would have gone to meet, maybe people who are sick would have gone to meet their House of Rep member and say, hey, I'm sick. But you go to the clinic and then they test, and if it is malaria, they say you have +1 or +2, and then they give you a drug called ACT and you're well. Is that political? It's not political, it's actual. And then if you go to the clinic tomorrow and stay in the hospital for 2 hours, you see white people who are foreigners who come to also treat malaria. It's not political. Malaria is here with us and it's here with us. And if we have to make sure that we encourage our children to be well, then we need to take all the measures for malaria. There are other diseases, there are other sicknesses, like I keep saying, that is not just malaria. But when you have malaria, you're sick, you don't feel well, children can't go to school, the father can't go to provide food, the mother can't go to her work or her business as well. It affects everybody in the family. That is not political. All right. Now, if countries are coming to help Nigerians and are giving Nigerian support, so most times people say there's so much money spent inside NET also, but it's because it's a strategy to control malaria. I've mentioned a lot of strategy, again, to repeat them. The first thing you want to do is you want to prevent the mosquito from biting you. If you can prevent the parasite entering your body, you're not going to get malaria. And how do you do that? Manage the vector population, manage the population of the mosquito. If you think it's political, then clean your gutters. Make sure there are no mosquitoes around you. Reduce the bite of the mosquitoes. Ensure that there's no mosquito in your room, then you don't even have anything to do with what people are saying is political or not. Then when you want to sleep at night, if you know you have mosquitoes there, we're asking people, please sleep inside the net. That is why the net is available. The most times where you are inactive and you don't know anything happening at the time, the mosquitoes can play over you. And the number of mosquitoes that bite you will increase your chances of getting the malaria. So sleep inside the net. Sometimes we are staying outside and then there are mosquitoes all over your body, you're trying to chase them away and all that. We're saying wear long clothing. That's not political. Reduce the contact of the mosquitoes on your body. And stop that. And then if you feel sick, go to a clinic. It doesn't have to be a government clinic, private clinic. Even if your friend has a lab, go to him and say, check what's in my body. If it's saying malaria parasite plus, it's not political. You have malaria. Then go get the right medicine, and it's ACT. When you take that and you feel well, then you know that we are pushing towards reducing malaria. And every effort coming in is only to help, especially, let me say, there are people who are very poor in Nigeria.
I was coming to that.
Yes. Yeah. That affording the ACT when they are sick is very difficult for them.
True.
And that is why there's this free distribution of nets. If you talk about the price of procuring a net, the operational cost of distributing the nets. For example, if you do a campaign in a city like Abuja, Abuja population right now should be what? Do you know Abuja population?
Let's just use a rough estimate of above 15 million. A rough estimate.
Abuja will not be up to 15
Let's
million.
just say a rough estimate.
So if you want rough estimate, let me work with 5.
Okay.
Yes. Let's assume Abuja is 5 million.
All right.
Okay. If Abuja is 5 million and you want to distribute nets in Abuja, so you're going to look at the strategies that you're saying one net should cover 2 people. So if you say one net covering 2 people, that means you need to distribute about 2.5 million nets in Abuja. So if you're distributing 2.5 million nets in Abuja, if one net is costing about 2,000 naira, you multiply 2.5 million times 2,000 to buy the nets. When you get the nets here, you want to also store the nets, then you want to have operational cost. The people who are going to move from door to door to work, you want to pay them transport and allowance to do that work. When you put that together and you write it and say, this is what you spend to do net distribution in Abuja. Somebody say they are using it to make money. It's not. It's just the strategy to get the net to household. How much does it cost to do airtime on radio, on TV? So if you want to do 10 slots a day, 7 days a week, 4 weeks a month, 52 weeks in a year, and you put the cost, it makes it look so huge as well. So one of the things I want to tell the press is, the press will also help and try to look at what is the operational cost, what is the breakdown, how does this come? So when the costs come in, and even when people who are ignorant come and say, there's a lot of political thing about nets, about malaria in the country, I want you to be able to tell them that I think you need to look again. What we are after is the health of the people. We want Nigeria to be certified free. And in doing that, we need to be focused with all our attention, join with what the minister is doing and other organizations for us to push to zero malaria.
All right. Very nice concept so far with the way you're spelling them out. But then, a lot of African countries are already almost becoming zero malaria communities, and we know that Egypt is already topping that league as a zero malaria community or society or a country, if you like to use that word. But then, in looking at Nigeria, is there a time frame for us to combat malaria in its generality?
So we have what we call the strategic plan that works within 5 years and all that. And Nigeria was pushing to see if we can achieve that by 2030. And we're in 2025, we're still pushing to see where that can take us to. But like I keep saying, it's effort of everybody coming together to see what we can achieve. Now, when you want to say a country is certified free of malaria, doesn't mean that malaria is not there. Rather, it means that the prevalence, like we're saying, 20% or 22 or 25, that theirs is less than 0. It's about less than 5. So we're going towards to 0. Okay, so you now begin to, before you can get malaria, you need to trace. So it's less than 1 person before you can get malaria in somebody when you test the people. So that is where we are also pushing to. So the country is doing everything she can. The minister is leading that push because he's looking at the sector-wide approach, where we don't only say it's the Ministry of Health that is controlling or fighting or managing malaria, but we want to talk about the Ministry of Environment coming into it. You want to talk about the Ministry of Education. You want to talk about the Ministry of Local Government and Chieftains, because you have the stakeholders there. You want to bring everybody, Women Affairs and all that. So when we bring everybody and we know that this is what we're doing and know how to do it, that is the important thing. Know how to do it. How to do it, I talked about. You need to test, you need to protect, you need to prevent, and you need to ensure that the vulnerable groups are captured. When we do that, and then individuals also know that I deliberately need to make effort to ensure that I don't get malaria, then malaria, if the mosquito bites a person who doesn't have malaria, he's not picking a parasite. If he goes to bite another person, he's not transmitting it. So the less people who have malaria, even if mosquitoes are around, the less they can transmit the malaria.
Okay.
That's more technical, right?
Okay, yeah, so now it's a bit technical right now. Okay, so the malaria needs to lift from party A to party B to be able to infect.
Exactly.
So if the party A does not have malaria,
the mosquito is biting the person, is not picking up the
parasite. So it's taking free blood without no parasite in it. All right, that's
it. That's the need. That's why we keep saying that when it was 45, from 10 people, if the mosquitoes bite 10 people, 5 of them will have the parasite. Now that we are 22, we are saying from 10 people, if it bites, only 2 can give the mosquito the parasite or allow him to carry the parasite. So we need to work together as like that. So each and every one of us need to protect ourselves. If you don't sleep inside the net, let your children sleep inside the net. But we advise the whole family to sleep inside the net. Or at least protect your windows. Make sure that mosquitoes don't come in. Some people use sprays to try to reduce that. Yes, if it works for you, but sometimes it could be expensive. Yeah.
So when you talk about the net, and right now we are already experiencing heat wave, especially in the northern part of Nigeria, will you still recommend it? Knowing fully whether we have epileptic power supply in the country, will you still recommend that people sleep under the net with this heat wave?
Yes, I will recommend. You know why? So because when you don't use the net and you sleep outside the net, somehow you still want to cover yourself so that mosquitoes will not bite you, or you protect yourself from mosquito bite. When you don't protect yourself from mosquito bite, you don't even get the good sleep because you are awake most time trying to beat the mosquitoes off. But when you sleep inside the net, you can sleep with light clothes. You can wear singlets and sleep inside the net. You can wear shorts and sleep inside the net. The net becomes like a cover from afar. All right? And then if you sleep and the windows are open, even if there are mosquitoes in the room, you're protected, you get a sound sleep, and there's a kind of air that comes in. Now, outside in the compound, most times when you go to the north around this time, people sleep inside the compounds in the open spaces. Get the paint rubber or get some sticks or wood and try to put 4 paint rubbers and put the sticks inside them and hang the net. Put the mats there. So even the children sleeping outside can sleep inside and they're protected. I think it's something that we can talk more and make people do that.
All right. In talking about eradication of mosquitoes in Nigeria, I'm curious, why are we not also prioritizing the testing of malaria? When you're sick, the testing of malaria, is it possible for it to be subsidized for a lot of Nigerians to know their malaria status so that we will not be abusing drugs in the country?
Yeah, so we can't eradicate mosquitoes. It's natural. It's in the natural ecosystem, and they have their roles.
Just eradicate malaria. Let's see. Okay.
Yeah. So one of the things that's happening is that the government of Nigeria, like I mentioned all the while, with support from different partners, have been able to provide free malaria services across the country. Most times in the primary health cares, if you go there, malaria testing is supposed to be free, and then also malaria drugs. But when you go to private facilities, then you have to pay something. But in the government facilities, right now, treatment for malaria is free. So if you go to a government facility and you're sick and you have to sometimes maybe, they say register, get a card and all that, maybe people look at that as some cost, but what is supposed to be free. And the government is making that effort with partners to make sure that that is available across the country, even to the hard to reach, anywhere we have a primary health care facility. We have supports from the Global Fund, we have supports from the US government, the UK government, and different people who are making this happen. But the government of Nigeria is leading that charge, and a lot is happening.
Mr. John Ocholi, I want you to say that again, that if you get to a Nigerian government hospital, the test for malaria is free. Please, can you say that line again?
Yeah, so I'm saying that donors, partners are supporting Nigeria in many places. And for where you have a donor support and you go to primary health care, designated, not all, designated primary health care.
Okay, designated primary health care. I want to get that clarity.
Yes, designated primary health care. You can get malaria treatment for free, the testing and the drug. And so what we do is that our people then move around the community, try to educate people and tell them this is where you can go or go to those places. But I think the government of Nigeria is also working on that to see that malaria treatment and malaria testing comes free in those facilities. It's a gradual process we're doing. These are all geared towards the zero malaria we want to achieve.
Oh, zero malaria we will definitely achieve. I want to say thank you so much for being a part of the show, John Ocholi.
Thank you.
And I hope when next we need you, you'll be available for us.
Anytime.
Well, we'll go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk more on Global Morning. Please go nowhere. The show continues in a moment.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews and latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Disbursing upkeep of 20,000 naira.
Know that you cannot talk about a healthy nation if you don't have means to produce your own in addition to importing.
The CG is the principal actor of this because it's within her jurisdiction. Minister is a supervisor.
We must run in accordance with the constitution of CAN, where you have just a single time.
The human factor, you have the infrastructural factor, then you have the mechanical factors.
The Senate, with all due respect, they were so hasty in passing that judgment.
The statement I'm about to make is we're not even aware.
That is the future.
You have to be aware before you can begin to be prepared.
Welcome back. Well, Juma, you can see that malaria is a very big deal in Nigeria.
Yes, it is.
And of course, we've had a very large, elaborate conversation with Mr. John Ochuli, who has been talking to us for the last couple of minutes on malaria and eradication and some of the symptoms. And of course, we didn't even allow him to even rest with hammering the questions on him, because a lot of people out there, there was one shocking thing he said that even got to me. He said malaria is not, you can't get malaria when you're in the sun. I was thinking because sometimes when we run away from the sun, we are saying I'm putting on cap, I'm putting on face cap, I'm putting on sunshade, I'm doing picking sunscreen, I don't want to have malaria. I was amazed when he said no, you can't get malaria when you're in the sun.
Oh wow.
I didn't know prior to this time. Of course, information,
and it's not all mosquitoes that you get malaria from. I hope we indicated
information
that.
is power.
It's power, yes.
Information is power.
Of course, it's very important.
And we spoke elaborately about the mosquito bite and all of these concerns in Nigeria. We hope that we'll be able to get the time frame that has been fixed for the eradication of malaria in the country, which is 2030. We should be able to get to that point. So altogether, because Egypt is already out of the malaria malaria areas, free zones in the world. So if Nigerians get to that point, of course, it will be a very good development.
Of course, an amazing development. Yeah. And with that, we have to wrap up the program Global Morning. Hope you've had an amazing time with us from 7 a.m. till now. And hope you've been well informed with issues making round. And you've been well informed when it comes to malaria also. And with that, we have to say very good morning to you. I am Jumai Manson, and of course, my co-host. Don't forget, it's a Friday tag team. My co-host, what's your name, my co-host?
I'm Godwin Sunday, and of course, thank you so much for being with us till this time.
And from Godwin and I, we will say
bye-bye.
Welcome to Global Morning.
Death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies for sure. If you don't say we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rate as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle with the ASU strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a life. The president never gave me any deadline.